There are certain cases when references do not fulfill the actual goal of citations and acknowledgement, and this does not benefit the reader. These cases involve spurious citations, biased citations, self-citations, coercive citations. Spurious citations is referring to citing irrelevant or inappropriate papers. Sometimes, when citation is not required or an appropriate one is not found, the authors still go ahead including one anyway, just to make their publications look better, as if they have done a lot of reviewing works, hoping that the reader will never go and check for those sources. Such actions result in loss of time of the reader, especially those researchers who are undertaking similar works, looking for the cited papers, which is actually irrelevant. Therefore, it should be avoided. The second one is the biased citations. It happens when the author citing the words of his friends and colleagues which are insignificant instead of those which is actually significant intentionally. In another word, the author knows which papers is significant, however, he chose not to cite the paper. Instead, he cites the words of the persons that he knows which are insignificant. It could be simply due to that they do not wish to give credit in the form of citations to a certain individuals, and this may ultimately lead to giving the readers wrong directions or finding the source of publications. Next will be the self-citations. It happens when the author inappropriately citing own word which is irrelevant. In fact, if you citing your own words which is relevant is acceptable. What is not acceptable is citing the words which is irrelevant. Sometimes the researcher chooses to do self-citations in order to promote its citation score for the list of the publications that he possesses of. This again misleads the reader and is a practice that trying to manipulating one's personal citation score, trying to boast one's influence in the academic field. Coercive citations is referring to adding the citations of a journal on request by the journal's editor in order to avoid risks of rejection. You know the interest of the journal's editor. They would like their journals to be more often being cited in order to gain influence of their journals. While during the submissions for review of your works, some journals editor may require you to cite more of their papers, and out of the worry that if you do not cite their journals, you might having the risk of being rejected by the reviewers or by the journal itself. This is again a means to manipulate the influence of a journal, and this is known as the coercive citations. What you see here, all these cases should be avoided as they do not serve the fundamental purpose of having citations. You know that the citations is a documentation process, providing the records for the readers to trace the relevant sources in order to find out the relevant study easily, as well as to cross-check or verify the works being published. This is going to be helpful in the field of research, reduce the amount of time being wasted on the irrelevant works, and because of this type of citations, a lot of irrelevant works or inappropriate papers are being mixed inside the list of the references that the researcher need to review, and extra effort will be required in order to filter out all the irrelevant works for researchers to carry out their research work. And we have to admit that as a researcher, sometimes we're accidentally putting ourselves in this kind of citations, either intentionally or non-intentionally, which can also due to various factors such as our personal limitations as well as the research culture in the organizations. Whatever it is, we should try to avoid this kind of citations so that the research environment will be cleaner. And if you wish the research environment will help you to save more times, quickly identify the important papers, probably we can start trying to reduce our chances to fall into this kind of citations. And what you see here, the rule of citing as concluded from the list of the citation here, it is to cite the relevant works only, and also to our best capacity, not to intentionally or unintentionally miss the word of genuine significance. And whenever we do the citing, we need to put in mind the purpose of the citing and the benefits to the readers.